Hi and hello, watch fans. Welcome to the Real Time Show. I'm Malone Joseph, and today in the physical studio, I have an esteemed guest, a second-time guest on the show, Niels Eggerding, the managing director of the Frederique Group. Welcome, Niels.
Super happy to be here in Amsterdam.
Thank you so much. Good to see you. I'm actually looking at your pretty face.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have you here. We're actually celebrating something special, but I'll keep the best for last. We have actually, Rob and I have been raving about what all of you chaps have been doing in Plan Le Hout in Genève. We saw each other at Watches and Wonders. We saw each other at Geneva Watch Days, which both of you, both Oliver, you, and all of the team members blew us out of the water. You guys are keeping on by bringing the heat. We obviously had an amazing party. So, for those listeners that haven't heard us, congratulations on the 35th anniversary of Frederique Constant.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun party.
Super fun. Yeah,
the Dutchies.
Cherry on the cake. No?
Yes. It was lovely by the Geneva Lake on a beach. Yeah, spectacular show. Killer presentation, which you've done. Is that presentation online somewhere?
The presentation itself not, but we had the video in there, the book with the historical book that brings you over all the calibers we have been bringing.
Yeah,
all throughout the year. That's available.
Which a lot of people didn't believe me. They thought I made a mistake because I said 31 calibers in-house
since 2004.
Since 2004.
Yes.
And yeah, because I'm saying 35 years, 31 calibers, but it's actually less years.
Sure. That's the most impressive.
So less than 2 decades.
Well, that's also the whole reason why we celebrate it. Because many people say, listen, why are you celebrating 35 years? It's nothing special. We, with the other brands, celebrate 200 years. What is true, though? But we celebrate because we have been achieving a lot. And that's what we wanted to talk about. That's what we want to exhibit also to the group of press, suppliers that helped us all through the way. Customers, retailers that were helping us. Loyal customers. So that was the group that we wanted to thank also together that we have been able to do these amazing 31 in-house movements, calibers. But it was still a challenging road.
Yeah, congratulations. Because I don't even talk about the Alpina calibers, which you have as well.
Yeah, sure.
So if you don't mind, last time we spoke, we solely spoke about Frederique Constant. Your esteemed colleague, Oliver, is on the schedule to come on to speak solely about Alpina on the Real Time Show as well. But I want to use this opportunity since I have you here in Amsterdam. So this was very impromptu. We decided this morning. I sent a WhatsApp message in the Real Time Show network, our WhatsApp community, at 7:30 a.m. Amsterdam time. Within 5 minutes, I got flooded with questions. So I'm sorry, Niels. I
hope good questions, though.
They're amazing. They're spicy. They're real.
Okay, good.
Real chats, real watches, real people. So I need to jack up the time of this recording a little bit because Niels is very busy, but a dear friend, and he always makes times for watch collectors. That is one of the things I also love about you. So I do want to ask you a bit about Alpina. If you don't mind, just run us through what the novelties were for 2023. Since Geneva Watch Days for both brands, because you launched a spectacular caliber for Frederique Constant.
Yeah.
Big date, moon-faced.
It's always difficult for me to go back in time of the year because I'm working already on the collection for 25. So sometimes I'm mixing things up. So I need to be very keen here. So for FC, we joined for the first time at Watches and Wonders in April. That was a strategic move for us. Not an easy move. To go to that show because it was not an easy move actually to get a spot there, but we finally managed it. Now the reason why we want to move there is that we also are uplifting the whole manufacturer collection, and the biggest uplift that we did was a smaller diameter case, 39 millimeters, because the trend is smaller. We used to have 42 in a general size, and at 39 we have been equipped with a tourbillon movement that we launched back in 2008, but we simplified the movement. And that was the big bang during the Watches and Wonders. And there we have seen a huge traction, of course, for that watch, because we had like 750 pieces planned for this year. They were all sold already during that show. Then Alpina, I think the biggest attraction for Alpina was that we used to have, like if I go back a few years now, a strong lineup with products on smartwatches. 3 years ago, 60% of the collection of the sales was smartwatches. But very difficult. The retailer didn't pick up. The maintenance of the smartwatch is very complicated. So we decided to turn the needle there for Alpina and to go back to the history of the brand and go horological. And that horological drive has been driven by the iconic case, the Extreme, that we launched during Watches and Wonders for the brand. And I didn't see for the past 12 years that I've been working for the group, not such an attraction as we've seen with the Extreme watch, because it goes back in the history of the brand. It connects the dots for the brand, and it shows really, hey, we are back. We are back horological, but also very back iconic in design, the Extreme. And that's what Watches and Wonders. Then I'm jumping quickly because you're asking the question. Then the Geneva Watch Days, that's the second pillar for us where we exhibit the brand, both brands. And there we launched indeed the celebration of launch. We celebrated our 35th years anniversary of the Frederique brand. And we launched the 31st in-house caliber. And that's the first time we did an in-house movement with a big date. Same DNA-driven direction as the tourbillon. Very clean in design. 39mm case for the tourbillon. 40mm case for the big date. Big date, power reserve, moon phase. Very unique in design because the big date is positioned between the 2 and the 3 hour marker. And then on the other side, to balance, we have been positioned the power reserve, and the moon phase is really typically our DNA.
Amazing. Did you make a big date because the markets demanded it, or did you make it because you can?
Basically because we can. And it started all like 3 years ago when we were fully in the pandemic, where my team, we were really discussing together, brainstorming, how should we move with the manufacturer in the coming 5 to 6 years. And I always liked the big date. We are a classical brand in a way. We do manufacture, we do our in-house movements. And a big date for me is something that belongs in a classical brand. So that's where I pitched it with my team. And that's the beauty of my team, I have to say. They're so enthusiastic right away. And they jumped on it. They said, I can do it. I can design it and let me work on it in the coming 2 years. I'm probably gonna bring it. Now, that went back and forth, of course, in the design. But the movement was right away ready. It took like I think like Manuel, our creative director, who's the R&D, who's driving the R&D, he made the conception on the computer within 2 months.
Really?
Of course, then the whole technical program starts, of course. That's the more difficult one. But it was relatively quickly done. Then we took 2 to 3 years to really develop it and have the proper quality, because that's what nobody really realizes. The conception is 1, the technical production is 2, but then validation process and keep the quality on a high level takes still 1.5 years.
Yeah. Some people that are new to the art of collecting wristwatches are always amazed how relatively slow the watch business goes, especially the whole society goes fast, the technology goes fast, but there is still a lot of manual labor, mechanical engineering. So you guys actually operate at a very, very high speed. I mean, if you're not that familiar with Frederique Constant, and while you're listening and you want to have some visual assistance, check out their website, which is FREDERIQUECONSTANT.com. On topic of the name, did you guys ever thought of abbreviating it into FC?
Well, this is an interesting project, yes, because I know we have been discussing this already, and I think the potential of the brand is not there yet for me to pitch really an FC form of a logo or a name, but for sure in the coming years there will be something coming.
Interesting. So you heard it first on the Real Time Show. So if you're not that familiar, they have been full steam ahead on all cylinders, because one of the calibers that really also grabbed not only my attention, but the whole industry, mostly in disbelief, was the monolithic.
Yeah.
What's happening there? Are you guys, was that a lab concept idea, or is it really something you guys are going ahead with?
You know, when I took the position over as the managing director, CEO of the group, this project was up and running. I was involved from the beginning in a way till Peter and Aletta started to move away, and I picked it up and in that time together with Pim Koeslag, the Dutch watchmaker that now has started, Christian van der Klauw, took over Christian van der Klauw. And I think initially, if I go back in time and think back now, it was much more a lab-driven conception, but we felt it was ready enough to start launching. The mistake we made was obviously a junior mistake. Me as the CEO running it, that we started like high quantities in a limited edition. We had like 810 pieces by stainless steel version, limited edition, and the gold 81, because the caliber was 810. Mm-hmm. So we always work in the caliber name and then the limited editions versions of that. But of course, when the moment we launched in that time, it fly off the shelves right away without having the product actually produced. So we have seen the traction, we have seen the uniqueness, but then we had to produce, not knowing that the pressure on our third party Flexus Dutch-based, our pressure on the watchmakers that also had to produce the manufacture, because I was ramping up with manufacture in the same time. That pressure was almost killing my team.
So to reiterate, to make it clear that I understand you well, the rookie mistake was the division between how much of the allocation of capacity and production of the monolithic calibers, X amount limited, and regular pieces, you gave too much allocation to the limited and you shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't satisfy the market. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that it's pretty difficult to explain for me also in a position when we launch a product like that, but we went too quick, too big. And my learning from that is that it backfires.
So, I understand.
So it took us, I put it on hold completely, the whole project, until it really came across with the right quality, with the right flow of production, industrialization also. My team is ready, my supplier is ready also to work on the same quality that we want. And I have to say recently, together with Tokyo, because you need to understand we are Tokyo owned, Citizen Watch Group owned, and we validated the whole process now. Where they're happy, we are happy, and Flexus is happy. So it's a trilogy of testing takes place. And now we are starting to produce again. So it took us almost 1.5 years to clean and to prepare properly. So for sure, I went too quick. I went too big. What backfires, and it took me 1.5 years to clean. And I'm happy that we cleaned it. I'm happy that we set it now. And now we see the light again, because it's so innovative. It's so amazing that many people say, hey, we don't see anything coming back anymore. We don't see communication happening. No, of course, because we put it on hold.
Because you went, just to summarize, it's so mind-blowing. There have been other producers that made very high frequency silicium escapements. You guys did mass volume. 40 hertz, am I correct?
40 hertz. Yeah.
40 hertz,
yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So that's 80 per second.
Yeah, tiny steps per second. Yeah. You can measure 20 to 25 hertz with your bare eyes.
Yes.
And that's it. So you don't see the movement happening of the second hand.
To make clear, you guys did not have a little pause due to production failures or quality issues. It was basically the biggest of them all was too much success. The market understood it.
Yeah, but I think it's also fair enough to say by the success we had, the pressure that came to my team, the pressure that came to the supplier, Flexus, that are doing the oscillator production, the isochronism of the oscillator, what brings the hertz to a level that you need, but also the absorption of temperature. So a lot of elements they do. And all that pressure came in one, and then you get quality issues that we underestimated. So, and then I had to pause straight. I had to say, listen, full stop now.
Yeah.
Because we cannot continue with this. This is breaking more than it builds. And luckily, we could hold it still. And then we have been working extremely hard with non-stop 8 people in the factory on this project for almost 1.5 years now.
So I salute you as an almost entrepreneur because it's an entrepreneurial spirit of pushing the project, but it takes big guts to pause it like that. And especially for those listeners that don't know, although Frederique Stahl was founded by a Dutch couple and was always independent, about 5 years ago.
It's already in 2016, so we're into 7 years ago.
7 years ago, the mighty and amazing Citizen Group, Japanese publicly listed company, bought the group. But as far as I've seen, both from visiting the manufacturer and talking to all you guys for 7 years, I hardly see any interventions because you took a very bold decision to pause that project. Did you get any backlash from Japan, and how much do they actually meddle? If I rephrase my question,
they're involved, but it's of course very direct with me. I'm going next week to Tokyo, and I'm talking a week along with them on all kind of projects we're working on. We present the numbers, we do the AGM meeting. So there's much more happening than even my team sees or outside see.
Yeah.
But it's very important that the pause that we created was, of course, in a strong discussion with Tokyo, because Tokyo Citizen is a high quality focused organization. And for them, of course, also within discussions, they were happy that we took the decisions.
Interesting. Would you say that relatively for a publicly listed company, they have a long-term scope? So long-term vision?
Yeah, I'm very impressed about them.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm 7 years now. It took time. It took really time to get to know each other, to gain trust in each other, because that's the Japanese, the moment they trust you, and then they really go. So it took time to get that trust because, of course, plants need to deliver. We under-promise and we over-deliver. That's what they like. So that's also a learning from me. I came from Peter and Aletta, where we constantly pushing. You don't want to know. We aimed to the moon and we hoped to reach somewhere in the stars, below, which is fine. With the Japanese, it's the opposite. Don't promise the moon, just be realistic. That was also learning from me. And that the whole way of learning and get trust in each other has been taking 5-6 years.
It's actually interesting to hear. It's very modest. And the compliment for you, you don't know this, and I haven't told you. The highlight for me personally at the party was, at the end of the party, I had the honor to meet your colleague.
Yeah.
From HQ.
Yeah.
You weren't there, I think.
I've seen that. See you talking to him.
I won't mention names, but I did some off-the-record probing. I always joke around that I'm not a journalist. I'm a wannabe journalist. Now with this podcast, that's almost 1 year old. I'm being perceived as press slowly, but I don't see it myself. But Rob, he's teaching me how to behave and ask questions like a journalist. So I put my inquisitive hat on and I started asking your colleague questions. And luckily for me, that it was at the end of the evening because he had some drinks.
Yeah, that helps
in him.
Yeah.
And I love the Japanese culture. I've had Japanese friends ever since I'm 4 years old. So I've been in direct contact with Japanese culture from the start. Visited Japan, dealt with Japan, did business with Japan. I still do. And I was amazed how little they intervene. How little of a control freaks they are with you guys. And the compliments he gave about you and the team was amazing. He says, yeah, it's basically the easiest subsidiary he has. So compliment to you.
Yeah,
it's cool to hear. And it's amazing that you guys run it still basically as a startup. So you and your team, I had the honor to meet you all and work with you guys. You're very agile. And I can prove this fact by our last part of this podcast. So I've still a lot of ground to cover and I have amazing questions from the community.
Okay.
But before we do so, I don't want to undershine Alpina, because if you guys didn't have a new caliber for Frederique Sun, they would have outshined you. World Timer Quartz, around €1,000. I thought that was a killer.
Yeah.
They brought back the anniversary piece. So I believe it takes 140 years. They're celebrating up. You guys
celebrating 4 times longer than we do. So it's indeed
140, right? Yeah. So congrats, double congratulations.
Yeah, sure.
So that's amazing. You brought out at the beginning of the year a sterling silver rectangular, retro Art Deco watch with a refurbished, old stock, rectangular shaped caliber, Alpina calibers, which was mind-blowing. And that's what I hate about FOMO. I saw it. I wanted one. Went to buy. Boom,
out.
All 140 gone. Yeah. So I was bummed out.
No, we're not 140. We're only 14. We had 2 editions, 14 each, because we were not able to buy the movement in 140 pieces. So we had 50 movements.
Yeah.
And out of the 50, we made sure that we had 14 and 14 pieces each.
That's it.
It was just much more. And
I thought it was 140
piece. I wish.
Yeah, so I was amazed. How could you find 140
so many orders online? You don't want to know that we could not fulfill.
No.
Later, we came with the regular version in a slightly larger size, stainless steel with an automatic movement.
So a round caliber at a democratic price, because if I remember correctly, around 2,000.
No, it's around 1,500.
1,500.
Yeah.
Euro, including VAT.
For the regular one.
Yes, the current model. Yeah.
The current model is around.
I call it the civilian model.
Yeah, it's 15 for by heart, around 1,500 euro.
So all you out there that love rectangular watches, run.
Well, it's a hit, huh? It's unbelievable.
No, even Rob was impressed because Rob and I both aren't rectangular guys. I recently bought my first one because I missed out on the Alpina. I bought a English Fears limited edition watch, the Archival 1930. I'll show it to you. It's here in the store. Yeah, so I'm getting the Alpina rectangular vibes. So that was amazing. And you guys made a lot of accessible but sporty watch with strong DNA. That begs the question. Frederique used to use the slogan accessible luxury.
Yeah.
Do you still?
No.
Would you still call yourself an accessible luxury brand?
We have been building the brand for 35 years long with that slogan, accessible luxury. But I think today, if you look back and you take a helicopter view in the market, things changed. The brands came that were much more accessible, correct? They went straight from the factory to the consumer. So, and I do think, and I was talking to, when I was in Monaco for Only Watch, and I talked to many CEOs. And there I also had the confirmation, luxury today doesn't have a price. So what does it mean for me? Luxury can be, in a way, perceived within different audiences. My son, if he's 18, he has a budget of 500 euro. He buys a watch for 500 euro. He can buy a Citizen. For him, that's a luxury type piece, correct? Doesn't mean it's accessible. It's luxury for him. For you, maybe a Frederique Constant Tourbillon for 15,000 euro is luxury. Mm-hmm. Well, it is, hopefully, but it is luxury. So I find the whole phrase accessible luxury today outdated.
I actually never liked it. I never liked it. So I'm happy you guys let go of it, because apparently you let go of it.
You know what is interesting? I look at the Frederique Constant customer as following. And I have these questions a lot, and I told this now already many times, and I feel very comfortable to mention this also. A Rolex you get from your parents as a gift. Mm. A Cartier you get from your lover, your husband, your partner. A Frederique Constant you buy because you choose yourself to purchase it. You can purchase it yourself because basically it's a fair price for a beautiful finished product, but you want to buy it yourself because it's in a way affordable to purchase. It doesn't cost 10,000 euro. It doesn't cost 20,000 euro. You can, but in general, the core collection is between 1,000 and 3,000 euro. Mm-hmm. But beautiful finished, high-end luxury. It has all the elements of a luxury brand, but it's still very affordable in price. What means for me, that's typically the customer that likes it also. He passes by the window, he sees a product, and he looks at the product, and he doesn't believe that it costs 1,000 euro. And that's the moment where an impulse purchase takes place. Because he is allowed to buy it, because he has it and he can. Yeah. That's what I feel is now the audience of Frederique Constant, an interesting audience. Independently driven people, women as well as men, that are between 25 and 50 years old, and they feel attracted to the design, the manufacture capabilities we have, and a fair price.
You guys are moving up market. and you're still doing it at a very reasonable price, but the price tickets are going up. Does that mean you guys are letting go of the, let's say, entry level? I don't want to use the accessible luxury. Entry level of quartz. Will you continue making quartz watches?
Quartz, we're working on something innovative. That's for sure. Now, I want to say something here. If you analyze the brands today in Switzerland, the average brand that are in the shops available went up for between 30 and 40% of the prices. We went up not even 50%, 15%. 1.5. Yeah, super important. It didn't even cover the supply chain increases we have seen, because I felt 3 years ago that the premium segment was flying off. We tapped into that with our manufacturer calibers, justified, price categorized, and the volume remains exactly where we are today. Now the trick comes. For sure today, we all know that the luxury starts to have a bit of a reshape. It trends down, it flattens the curve. And that's exactly where my price segment, where I act, is starting to tip in an increase. And we didn't increase the prices significantly. So we are becoming only one of the brands that are acting in the price range for gents as well as lady watches. So super interesting for us to see now what's going to happen. So no, we didn't increase the prices significantly. We repositioned the manufacturer collection a bit.
And doing that, will you become on the mechanical side of things full manufacturer, or will you keep third-party calibers in the collection, you think?
So below 1,000 quartz, and that's where you will see in the coming years an innovation happening. Then between 1,000, just below 1,000 and 2,500, it's third-party movements. We say third-party, it's basically Le Joubert, the chronograph, the G100, L100 we're using, what is for us almost an in-house movement.
Yeah, because it's owned by Citizen as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't categorize as manufacturer because we have our manufacturer, and then you go above 2,500 and you come to our manufacturer. And that's where much more innovations are taking place, because it's difficult to innovate in third-party automatic movement. But in a manufacturer, we are going to accelerate.
Okay, last question from my side, and then we'll go to our listeners' questions. So, because you suddenly we're talking about manufacturer, do you notice as a brand that it's important to your customers that it's because the whole story about manufacturer is being used and misused by a lot of brands.
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot of opaqueness, let me put it elegantly.
Yeah.
And that's why one of the reasons we started watchbase.com, because we hardcore prove if it's manufacturer or not. And we think brands should be honest about it, because if it's not, it's okay, but don't make it
nicer one it is.
Exactly. Sure. So do you guys notice that adds value for your buyers?
I think 10 years ago, it was more difficult. People, let's say the group that is aware what the difference is between an automatic or a manufacturer was smaller. Today, we have seen the traction is bigger. People are much more knowledgeable about watchmaking. And people like also to know more about watches because we have much more media platforms. So when I buy a new car or a new bike or a new whatever, I go to YouTube, I go to forums, and I read things, I look at things, and then you get your knowledge. That has been accelerating, and that helped us as brands to differentiate what the difference is between quartz, automatic, and manufacturer. So for me, yes, it helps, and yes, it differentiates, and it puts you aside of the other brands.
Amazing.
It helps us.
Amazing. Interesting. Let me jump into the questions because we have a lot of ground to cover, and I see we're already almost had half an hour, so I need to go quicker. So, one of our most dedicated listeners and most active one, watchmaker as well, Christopher Dittrichsen. He sent in a question this morning: how can you design and produce that many calibers in your short lifespan as a company? And then he adds the comment, really impressing.
Yeah, I think it's quite unique. I think we are unique in what we are doing, especially in our price range. But how can we do it? It's starting in 2004 back with a base caliber. That base caliber has been done by collaboration with the Watchmaking School Holland, where actually this we get a call with the Watchmaking School. We're going to do another collaboration with them. The Watchmaking School in Geneva. And we had one centralized watchmaker who was bringing all the parties together and preparing this manufacturer caliber. From day one, that was a success. Since then, we have been attracted, a conception, a constructor, and a technical watchmaker. We brought those two together, and they were creating instantly the movements that we wanted. So they had a pitch. They know exactly what to make. And by ping-ponging back and forwards, they could make their own movement within 1 or 2 years. That's the whole reason of our success. So is this easier? Is this easy? No, by far. It's very difficult because you need to control your supply and you need to control also your quality. On top of that, you need to make sure that the people don't get too stressed because you still need to manage it. So it has been a very difficult road, but I do believe it has been helping the brand to lift up.
Definitely. To add to that question, are you guys saying enough is enough? And okay, we're at 31, maybe we'll make 1, 2, 3 more and enough? Or do you guys have so much creativity you want to keep on going?
Let's be clear. We have 3 main plates.
Yeah.
Because people look at 31. We have the 700 series, 800 series, the monolithic, the 900 series, the open heart, and the tourbillon. Out of that, we can make, of course, modules, and we make more calibers. So much more to come. But I think it's much more important now to look where the sales happening, where the traction of people are happening, and where you can differentiate instead of just making numbers.
Interesting. Straight up, guys, as you see, we always say that Niels is one of the nicest, most open and stand-up CEOs. Here you hear it on air. And more questions coming. Next one, Come wrote to me this morning, why are their men's watches still mostly 40 plus millimeters when the current trend seems to go back to smaller watches for classic designs? Is there no such demand for Frederique Constant's current customer base, for example?
Definitely. But I think the interesting for Com that he asked this question, because this is still probably a podcast where you have a lot of watch connoisseurs, watch lovers, and we all know that they are on the head of the direction of deciding a trend. We are all in the smaller sizes, correct? But they must not.
No.
They're still at 41 or 40. So we need to be ultra careful by not going too quick in a downtrend of downsizing the case, because then we miss the volume, and we need volume still to put the investment into the manufacturer development. The first step we have been doing was the tourbillon in a 39 millimeter caliber, and we are one of the only brands who did the 39 for a tourbillon. Most brands are doing it at 41 or 42. And there we have seen definitely the traction. So that's a confirmation for me that we can now slowly go and move into downsizing the case diameter.
Yeah, because you told us already a bit about the pipeline. You guys are moving down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So another avid listener and supporter of the show is Worky from Great Britain. He wrote, would Frederique Constant consider making their calibers available to micro brands?
No. So it's for me, a manufacturer caliber in-house is really meant for our brands. I have difficulties to keep up the demand today with my watchmaking teams. So it's
for your own brand.
For my own brand, yeah. So it's difficult now to make that strategic move to supply micro brands. So not in the pipeline to do that.
To add to that question, do you get pressure, or let me rephrase, did Citizen buy Frederique Constant for the calibers and to use it in the group, or is there zero pressure for you?
No, for them it was really a strategic move to have a pyramid ready. They have like multiple brands. Citizen below are the most known ones, but then you have Arnold & Son, Angulas, Frederique Constant Alpina. So you have a sort of pyramid that they really wanted strategically. Nothing to do with the calibers. Yeah, of course they were looking for a brand in our price segment. Then there's not many offer of brands to purchase that have, let's say, a nice manufacturer caliber in-house.
Yeah, and technically they have a manufacturer caliber brand, La Jouperet.
Sure.
They have a caliber brand.
Yeah. And they love that technology also.
Is there joint forces between you guys and La Jouperet, for example?
Sure.
Yeah. You share knowledge?
We share knowledge. We share discussions about movement development. We are in discussion. The team of Arnold & Son, the president of Arnold & Son is having an office also in my factory.
Yeah.
So we are regularly talking. He's doing amazing things with the brand. And it only takes a bit of more time. That's what you see. doing really something concretely together will take a bit more time still.
Interesting. So Warkey added, do you think any independents with mass production capacities should do this, even if Frederique isn't planning on doing it? And if not, why? So let's take Nomos, for example. Yeah. So we spoke about Nomos in the community. Rob and I went to Glasgow to visit Nomos. Nomos is relatively a young brand as well. Also 3 decades plus. Yeah. They do quite some quantities. I mean, we're talking about multiple tens of thousands of calibers, but just for their brand, like you.
Yeah.
So do you think that they should supply other brands?
Yeah, my vision on that, it depends also who, but overall it brings your manufacturer a bit more down because it doesn't make you unique anymore. And Nomos has a fantastic lineup of movements, a bit the same as we are. So I think there's a reason why also they are not supplying micro brands. They want to make it still exclusive for them to make them differentiate versus the rest.
Interesting. And another case that was used in the group was Schwartz Etienne supplying calibers to Ming.
This I don't even know. Yeah.
So guys, you see, even the CEOs learned from the real-time show. So Niels learned something here today on air. Then we go to Barney, our also avid listener, works for the Watches of Switzerland group in the UK, asked, are there any teasers that can be said about other watches or movements that they're working on at Frederique that are technologically advanced, like the monolithic, etc.?
Now, we always continue to do the innovation on the movement. So next year you will see, I'm saying this to the podcast because that's a small group of people, a lot of people, but it's interesting to share with them. So next year you will see an increase of power reserve happening for us. Today we have 38, 42 hour power reserve. It's a bit, it starts to be, compared to what's happening in the industry, a bit outdated in terms of power reserve. Although the big brands still work in that power reserve, we want to qualify and we want to go up. So we go to 72-hour power reserve next year. But something as revolutionary as the monolithic, that's very difficult to compensate that. But we're going to work more on the monolithic, that's for sure. More things in that direction of monolithic you will see happening.
Amazing. Erik van Leeuwen became a watchmaker. He's being trained by Habring, the Habring couple in Austria as well. He sent in a question. I'd be curious to hear his thoughts, so yours, Niels, on the success of the monolithic. To me, it seems that there is not a lot of enthusiasm for this technology in the watch world, but you technically answered this.
Yeah,
we discussed it.
Yeah, there's a lot of enthusiastic about this and a lot of traction of that. We just need to answer it with supply. But I've seen this. So we have done innovations with perpetual calendar, flyback chrono. These were small steps on the ladder of credibility for me in the watchmaking.
What I wanted to ask is to rephrase this question maybe, because we've dealt about that topic in depth just now. Who actually buys it? Is it the hardcore watch collectors or is it tech lovers that maybe weren't interested in the watchmaking? That's actually an interesting question.
Now, overall, we have seen really watch lovers, connoisseurs that normally would buy a Patek, maybe an Ulysse Nardin, maybe a Girard-Perregaux, or even a Tudor.
So it is watch.
It's really watch oriented, and they want it to be in the headline of something revolutionary. And that's where you have seen, there we clearly see the traction.
Interesting. Okay. To be continued.
Early adapter, basically.
Yeah. Eric is also a member of the Red Bar Crew Amsterdam. So I'm working on something with Frederique Constant. So I hope you'll make it, Eric, and we'll have an in-depth discussion. And maybe you can come on air as a watchmaker. So another watchmaker, another Duchy of Switzerland that you know very well. I'll first ask the question, then I'll tell you who it is. He asked, will there ever be a deadbeat Seconde tourbillon? As it is totally not something I would want to work on. Ha 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 ha.
So there's Roland. So Roland, I think you have enough work to do for now. So in the coming years, you know already what's in the pipeline. So yes, this is not planned, but enough other things are planned to work on. And Roland, thank you for the questions because you're a great person, great watchmaker. And I hope we can enjoy for a long time your highly skilled watchmaking skills.
Yeah, and get off your phone now and go make more calibers. That's what he actually wants to say. So, Roland, thank you very much for your question, Roland Bell. And as you can see, guys, we have an amazing group of people in the community, including watchmakers and brands as well. We are really democratic. So if you want to join, send Rob, David, or I a message, and we'll send you a link to join our community. Next up was Max. He asks, are there plans to integrate the monolithic escapement into other movements that benefit from a high beat rate, like a chronograph or dressy chronometer, for example?
Yeah, it's interesting because it has the potential. It is not on the plan for now because I'm very happy that we stabilize and that we're restarting production. But if you look at the potential, it's super, super interesting. Especially chronometer. If you go to that specific area, it has the potential of being the most accurate Swiss mechanical watch ever made in history because of the hertz, because of the speed.
I assume with COSC.
Yeah,
they can't even
know it's
certified.
We work with TimeLab though in the early stage when we were ready and going to the market back in let's say June 21. But there they said already, listen, we don't have the equipment anyhow to measure, but it has the potential to be like a COSC Plus.
Yeah. But they had experience already maybe with Zenith a bit, because I know Zenith works with TimeLab as well.
Yeah, this I don't know.
Yeah, they do. Okay. Because they had a little stint with never the inventor.
Yeah,
which was never delivered. Huh?
No,
I sold a few.
They never delivered, but the technology we use is partly also licensed, basically with LVMH and Flexus. So it has a trilogy there.
Ah, interesting. Okay, guys, you heard this first on the Real Time Show, and we'll go into depth. Now, somebody's cheating. Rob Nuts. He asks one other question regarding Frederique and Alpina. Which models would you like us to focus on if we create a TRTS special with your brands?
Wow, definitely Alpina, because Alpina has been born from a retail network globally. We used to have 3,000 retailers around the world, and they were all part of the Alpina brand by having a voice. So Alpina, I would definitely go for an extreme.
So you heard it first on this episode, guys. There's an Alpina collab coming, apparently. Rob, you can call Niels and Oliver later. Then another avid Dutchie watch specialist, Wouter van Wijk, runs wrist icons. He asked, will Alpina make gilt dials again? They have an amazing back catalog of awesome vintage pieces.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so you will see something in the coming years. So every year we do an historical, let's say we bring back an historical product. This year you spoke about the rectangular version with an original movement in there. So next year we will see something new also. And definitely this will come back. Yes.
Cool. And by the way, those that love to visit museums in Switzerland, definitely visit Plan Les Hôtes, literally next to Rolex. You guys are next to Patek, Rolex, and everyone. Just on the outskirts of Geneva City. Amazing museum also for both Frederique and Alpina. And although Alpina gets most of the attention and Alpina is maybe the baby, I enjoyed the Alpina section more because of those historic pieces as well.
Yeah, because we like that. Watch lovers, we like that historical pieces.
Yeah, so you literally, you can spend easily 1 hour there. So highly recommend. If people want to visit, how do they go about to plan a visit?
I would do, it's very interesting because if there are people that are willing to come, we have 6,000 square meters pure watchmaking there with T1, 2, 3, really watchmaking. We have an experience.
Do you take them in?
And I would say, let's organize a tour.
For our listeners?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, all right. Another cool thing, guys, working on it. Tom says, say hi to Mary.
Tom says, say hi to Mary. Well, we have like a 5 to 10 Marie in the factory and in my team. So I need to know who. But I will say hello to everyone.
Okay, Tom, you're a ladies' man, as we see. Okay, so I don't have much time. I really need to wrap it up. So I'm going to end it at Lawrence van Hove from Belgium. He sent an interesting question. I'm not sure if there is a diplomatic way to phrase it, but Frederique Constant is in a way quite generic in design terms. It brings great value for money in every price point, taking design cues from the big brands. Do they plan on bringing a more own design language?
Well, fair enough. I think I do agree, especially if you go back 10 years or 15 years in time. It was strongly driven by looking up to the brands Patek or Breguet. Nowadays, I would say we have much more our own DNA. And in the coming years, you see also much more stronger, let's say, our own DNA coming back in the manufacture that is already in place now. High Life is our full own design. There's no copy direction in there. So definitely, I take note of this. But I do disagree that we don't have our own DNA. 10 years ago, more difficult. Today, we have definitely our own DNA.
Yeah. So I'm using Lawrence's question as a segue. I kind of concur with him and your answer that about a decade ago, it was all classical.
Yeah.
Very traditional Roman numerals, dress watches, onion crowns. And because it's an old design, you indeed might seem as taking design cues from big brands, but it's historically. Now, what I really clicked on was the High Life. And I've been a fan from day one. I have one on my wrist, and you guys have seen the wrist shots in our WOMS, What's on My Wrist channel of the community. I stalked Niels for quite some time to do a collab with my other company, Ace Jewelers. And when this episode airs, and that's why Niels is here, we just did a photo shoot together, is to announce the Ace and Frederique Constant collab.
Exactly.
So thank you, Niels, for giving me and my brother Amir the honor to co-create a watch with you, because we dropped recently the High Life World Timer Amsterdam edition. Not only did we have the honor to change a Central European time zone to Amsterdam, we went all out on the 3 colors of the Amsterdam crest, which are black, red, and white.
Yeah,
we did it all.
Yeah.
I'm super proud. I'm super happy, especially because we kind of see this chapter 2. About 5 years ago, we did a Nomos Weltzeit Zurich model in this style a bit. We didn't copy paste it. You surprised me when I received the prototype with a 3D version of the 3 crosses, which are the emblem of Amsterdam, the 3 red crosses. They're in relief, so they're applied. So thank you for that. What did you think of the collab?
Well, I was super excited because we are both born in Amsterdam. So for me, doing an Amsterdam special, I was just waiting until you come and ask for it. We know each other for 20 years. It goes way back. We have been going through a lot together, I think, in the industry. We have seen a lot. Doing this collaboration means really something for me. So I've been leading the company now for almost 5-6 years, working there for 12 years, born in Amsterdam. My whole family comes from Amsterdam. Doing now such a limited piece with the most iconic in-house movement we have in the section of watchmaking and manufactured calibers. It's like the cherry on the cake. So I'm super proud.
Thank you, Niels, because I really stalked him. And then we know that the biggest dictator on the show is Rob Nuds, but I'm not that easy either. Hence, Rob and I can stand each other. But just to give you guys an example, the watch standard, we went for the integrated bracelet version, so full stainless steel, black dial, the disc, the 24-hour disc, we split daytime white, nighttime red.
Yeah.
So we went all out on colors. It works. We took off the globus, so they weren't too happy with me at Plan Le Hout at the FCHQ, but they went with it, and then we almost got into a fight because the second strap, every High Life comes with 2 straps, right?
Yeah.
Always.
Correct.
You guys have a quick fit setting. You can take off the stainless bracelet literally in 10 seconds, and you can mount, usually it's a rubber strap.
Rubber
or leather.
Or suede.
Yeah, or leather. So they said, yeah, Alon, you're getting a suede croco print strap. I said, no. I want a rubber one because the watch is waterproof.
Yeah.
10 bars. So that's amazing. Not too thick, relatively. The VII, Rob's VII, Visual Index Impact, works very, very well for this watch. I subjectively say so. I wanted a print rubber with red stitching. Oh my gosh. Niels' team went crazy. They're like, oh, there's that Nagy Alon from Amsterdam again. And they said to Niels, why are you giving Alon this preferential treatment? So,
that's true. So I didn't tell them that we know each other for 20 years.
Yeah. So they're here now. So I say thank you to the whole team, because this is not a one-on-one with Niels. The whole team was splendid. It was amazing, great experience. We visit the manufacturer as well. And my gratitude goes out to all of Team Frederique Constant. Thank you guys. And it was a joy and pleasure to work with you. And we hope that both an Alpina TRTS collab is coming and a Frederique Constant as well. If you guys want that to come into fruition, stalk Frederique Constant on Insta, on the socials. Where can they find you on Instagram? Is it your full name or is it N?
Me, I'm not available on Instagram.
Oh, lucky you. Otherwise, I would have asked our dear army of listeners to stalk you for a TRTS collab. But if you want one, stalk Frederique Constant. If you have any more questions after this episode, please message Rob by email, rob@therealtime.show, or on Instagram via DM. We have a new handle nowadays, which is therealtime.show. And Rob's handle is @ROBNUDDS. You can find me by email, which is my first name, Alon, ALON, @therealtime.show, or on Insta via DM on the handle @ALONBNJOSEPH. And Frederique Constant is @Frederique Kunst.
Yeah.
Because the name is too long for the Instagram handle.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So if you guys want to send suggestions to Frederique Constant, let's show the power of this network. Yeah. Maybe we should suggest that Frederique Constant should do constant.com like patek.com. Or they should have known. Actually, no, that's wrong.
No, you should take Frederique.
Yeah, but that's too difficult.
That's too difficult.
Okay, guys, give some user feedback.
Yeah, give some input here. They have great questions, so they're probably going to have great impact to yours too.
So I want to round up saying a big thank you to the TRTS network for your amazing speed and quality of questions. It's really, you've proven again that we are for the watch community, by the watch community. Thank you for listening. If you like this show, please subscribe, like, and rate our show. Keep on ticking.